All right, we're back again with another NBA playoffs video. I just want to get off my chest real quick. If you haven't read the news recently, the Tennessee Titans have lost a longtime radio announcer in Dave McGinnis. And with a heavy heart, I'd like to say thank you to what he did for Titans radio. And he passed away earlier today. And my thoughts and prayers are with him, his family, and everyone that is associated with Dave McGinnis. And it's with a whole heart that I say thank you for what he did, for my own sanity, my own career. And I'm thankful and grateful that I met him at training camp. I'll put the video in the description, but I just wanted to get that off my chest. This is a Titans channel, don't get me wrong, but it's hard to say goodbye to someone that's really close within your own life, and I just wanted to say that for the first couple of minutes before I get started with the NBA playoffs. I know the Grizzlies aren't in it, but here's the field of 20 teams. We have an NBA play-in. I have all my notes on my phone, so I might have to resort to that in a little bit. But I just wanted to say a rest in peace to Mr. Dave McGinnis and all that he's done for the Titans, all that he did for the Cardinals, because I remember him telling me the Pat Tillman story. And, it's just amazing coach, amazing mentor, and thank you, Coach, for all that you did for the game. And I know you're going to be looking at the Titans down from heaven, and they're going to be opening a new stadium here in a year. So Dave McGinnis, thank you to the Titans, and let's get started with this NBA playoffs, and let's get this started, shall we? Alrighty, let's get into these play-in games. First game we have is the Miami Heat against the Charlotte Hornets. Now, both of these teams are up and down. Bam had just dropped 83 points. A lot of, stuff happening. LaMelo Ball. Part of me wants to go with the Miami Heat because, their whole team is pretty good. I mean, you got Tyler Hero. And then I'm really going to go with the soon-to-be maybe Rookie of the Year, even though Cooper Flagg might just win it over Con Newpel. I'm going to go with the Charlotte Hornets. So the winner of this game goes right here. And for any of you guys that don't know, the NBA has a play-in tournament before you get to the playoffs. So from Tuesday, April 14th to Friday, April 17th is the play-in tournament. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, it's basically win and get in. So I got the Hornets in this one. I think that they're going to do pretty good things, but they're not going to make an insane run. Just leave it at that. There goes my composition book. We don't need it. Going off script. Next game we have is the Portland Trailblazers going up against the Phoenix Suns. This game is just a trap game for Portland. I mean, Portland recently traded Anthony Simons to the Boston Celtics, and then, they re-signed Damian Lillard after his time in Milwaukee kind of fizzled. It just wasn't the same team as it was a few years ago before Dame Lillard got traded to Milwaukee. And crazy how that was a long time ago. And now looking back, and it's like Damian Lillard's like 37 years old, coming off an injury. I'm going to take the Suns in this one. just because, um, I trust Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks a little bit more than I trust Scoot Henderson. Um, that's even his name. Man, I haven't been keeping up with basketball, obviously. The next game that would be on TV would be on Wednesday, April 15th, when the Magic play the 76ers at 7:30. Um, this one, Paulo Banchero versus, Paul George and the 76ers. Will Embiid play? That's the whole thing, right? Is Embiid going to play? And if the 76ers are healthy enough, will they have like a really good run in the playoffs? Nick Nurse, their head coach, had a really good run with the Toronto Raptors back in 2018-19 when they had Kawhi Leonard, Fred VanVleet, and Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, you know, just a whole different team than it was. And same thing with the Magic. The Magic have been building something special with Jalen Suggs and Paulo, Franz Wagner. I'm going to go with my gut in this one and take the Orlando Magic. They're going to be playing the Boston Celtics. That's going to be an interesting series. And then the 76ers are going to be playing the Hornets. Is this right so far? Maybe I need to hang in there. Let's see. The Suns, I have the Suns winning, so yeah, they're playing the Spurs, and then the Trailblazers go right here against either the Warriors or the Clippers. Man, so can the Warriors stay healthy for the playoffs? So Steph Curry recently came back, against the Rockets. KD was playing against the Warriors in a Rockets uniform, and KD has nothing but love and respect for the Warriors. And I mean, shall I say more about KD and how he was really good with the Warriors back in 2016 to 2019, just before like that awful, like, man, that series against the Raptors really did it for them. And man, so it's going to be Kawhi and the Clippers versus Steph and the Warriors. I'm going to take the Warriors just because they've been inactive, active, really just depends on the players and, load management, Kawhi. I'm going to take the Warriors just because I just have faith in Steve Kerr, and so right now, as it sits, I have the play-in semifinals, right? So this is like the win and get in games. Hornets, 76ers, Warriors winning, beating the Clippers, Trailblazers losing to the Suns advancing to the 7th seed. Magic will be the 7th seed against the Celtics. If you're watching the video, see exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, we'll go on to the next slate of games, which will be probably Friday or Saturday. Got the Warriors and Trailblazers. This game is a trap for the Trailblazers, I swear. Man, this is going to sound crazy, but I feel like the Warriors just pull the upset and just stick it through. And eventually they might get swept by the Thunder or, in 5. Thunder in 5. Next, we got the Hornets and the 76ers. I'm going to go with the Hornets. I think their team is just too much for the 76ers. So the Hornets will move on and face the Detroit Pistons in the NBA playoffs. I'm going to get this situated. I'm going to update the seating, and I'll come back whenever this is all finalized. So hold on one second. Whoa, time travel. Boom. All right. We got for the NBA seedings 1 through 8. I'm going to go with the Western Conference first. 1, Thunder. 2, San Antonio Spurs. 3, Denver Nuggets. 4, Los Angeles Lakers. 5, Houston Rockets. 3, Denver Nuggets. I already said that. 6, the Minnesota Timberwolves. 7, the Phoenix Suns. 8, the Golden State Warriors. In the East, we got the number 1 seeded Pistons. Number 2, the Boston Celtics. Number 3, the New York Knicks. Number 4, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 5, the Toronto Raptors. Number 6, the Atlanta Hawks. Number 7, the Orlando Magic. And 8, the Charlotte Hornets. Okay, here we go. This is what we've all been waiting for. Tip-off is literally in, what is that? If I could do some time math here, go into the future, it is currently 4/14/26. So the NBA playoffs has officially begun. Here we go. This is my honest take. We're going to start in the Eastern Conference first. I mean, it's hard not to pick against Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons. They're going to beat the Hornets in probably 5 games. Yeah, I got the Hornets right here, advancing to the Eastern Conference semifinals. They just have a really good all-around team. Likewise as the Hornets. They got LaMelo Ball. Almost said LiAngelo Ball, but there's so many Ball brothers now that I can't even think of all 3 of them. Shout out to LeVar, too. Stay in your lane. For the number 2 seeded Celtics, yeah, I got them beating the Orlando Magic. Shocker there, right? I'm going to say the Celtics in 4. I think they clean sweep the Magic. I mean, we look back at last year, Tatum got hurt, came back March 7th of this past year, which is incredible, right? Came back from a torn ACL surgery, like full knee repair, and, Tatum's back, Jaylen Brown is back, Derek White's there, they got Joe Mazzulla. I just think that the Celtics are going to give whoever wins that play-in game hell, and I think it's going to be the Orlando Magic, and even their bench with Baylor Shireman, Jordan Walsh. So, got the Celtics right there in 4 games. Moving on to the Western Conference, it's hard to bet against the Thunder because they are the reigning champs. But I'm going to take the Thunder to beat the Warriors. I'm going to say in 6 games. Curry in the playoffs is something else. Even in the regular season, he's the best shooter of all time. Literally, point blank. He is the best shooter of all time whenever he's healthy. And even when he doesn't have Jimmy Butler, Brandon Podziemski, everyone down there, Quentin Post, you just, off rip, you think about the Warriors, you're like, oh man, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, that whole Warriors team back in 2017 was crazy. And to think that was 10 years ago is just crazy. If you would have told me 10 years ago that the Kevin Durant Warriors would win 2 championships in 4 years, 3 years, whenever he got traded to Brooklyn, and they tried a whole thing with Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. That was a super team. That's the definition of a super team. But I got the Thunder beating the Warriors in 6. Sorry. The Spurs, yeah. Again, with the Spurs, you got Wemby, Stephon Castle, you got all the others, Devin Vassell. The whole Spurs organization is literally top notch. And literally, as I sit here, I'm refreshing X to make sure, no news is being reported. All the only news that I see is Titans news, and it's David Bailey, a likely top 5 pick. Had a top 30 visit with the Titans last week. And the Titans can do their own thing. It's, man, Luka Doncic is got the scoring title. Once again, 33.5 points per game. Spurs are going to the second round, the Western Conference semifinals against, who knows. Next up, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors. Now, I had a hard time picking this one because Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes on the Toronto Raptors are something else when they're jammed together. But then again, I think about Donovan Mitchell on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Darius Garland. It's hard to pick against the Cavs, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to pick the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're going to face the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference semifinals. That's going to be a fun series. I would say the Cavs have that in 6 games against the Raptors. It's going to be a classic 4-5 matchup. Really depends on the availability of Darius Garland and all the others on the Cavs, but I think the Cavs got it in 6, maybe even 5. Next up, we got the Knicks and the Hawks. The Hawks really did trade Trae Young to the Wizards, and everyone's going to the Wizards. Anthony Davis, Trae Young, you got Sarr. Man. Not Asar Thompson, but Alexandre Starr, Sarr. That guy's a star in Washington. Man, the Wizards might be something else next year, but I might just be speaking out of my butt. I'm going to take the New York Knicks. They're going to play the Celtics. That's going to be one hell of a series. That might go to 7. That might be Mike Breen, bang, all over it. And, I think this matchup right here, I'm pointing to the Lakers-Rockets game series. That really all depends on Luka's availability, Austin Reeves' ability and availability, Rui Hachimura, Bronny, LeBron, and all the others. I think the Lakers do get out of this one. They were a first-round exit last year to the Timberwolves. Mike Conley. I'm going to say that the Lakers win this series in 6. It's going to be really close, and availability is going to be huge for the Lakers, and I'm going to reluctantly take the Lakers over the Rockets. I'm going to say Lakers in 6 just to be safe, because Kevin Durant in the playoffs is not a player you want to mess with. That's for sure. Next up, we got the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is just going to be pure chaos. Battle of Jokic versus Gobert. And then you got Anthony Edwards. That's just going to come out of nowhere and just go crazy in the playoffs. But, I really like Denver in the series. I really do. I got the Nuggets in 6 games. It's another 6 or 7 game series, but I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets. I think they're more confident basketball team. They got veteran leadership on their team. They got Christian Braun on their team. They got everyone, you name it. They got, the 2-time MVP, Nikola Jokic, might even be 3-time MVP. But yeah, I'm going to get this all situated real quick, and we'll move on to the conference semifinals. And then we go on to the conference finals, and then you go into the NBA finals. So hold on for that. As we approach 19 minutes, I would just like to say about the Titans, real quick, Titans sidebar, as I get through a sip of water. The Titans look like they are going defense at 4. Say all you want about the Titans doing whatever they do at 4th overall, but I think that the Titans really need to just bolster on defense. I know they traded for Solomon Thomas. They traded for Jermaine Johnson II. They got a lot of people that the Jets got with Robert Saleh back in 2022, 2023, 2021, when he was the head coach of the Jets. He was basically taking over the keys from Aaron Rodgers. And who knows if Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing this next year with the Steelers, because, Mike McCarthy's their head coach now. But I just wanted to say that the Titans are doing their own thing. They're doing their own research. And if I had any say in it, I would say go with the best player available at 4. And if Arvell Reese is gone at 4, if David Bailey, Ruben Bain, Jeremiah Love, all else fails, you get a really good player at 4. And who that is, we won't know till, April 23rd, of course. That's when the draft is. The NFL draft is April 23rd. Just wanted to say that. The NBA draft is usually in July. Actually, it's late June, because they have Summer League in the NBA. That's just all this other crap, Anyways, got the Thunder and the Lakers, Spurs, Nuggets, Pistons, Cavaliers, Boston Celtics, and New York Knicks. Man, what series should I go to first? I'm going to go with one that I know instantly the result of, and that's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are probably going to get the Lakers in 6 games. I think you're going to come to find out that LeBron is really that old. 41 isn't that old. Really, it's not. It's just, how long can LeBron play without, giving up on himself, be with his family, and, he is with his son, so there's no arguing against that. But I think that Thunder handle business against the Lakers. Next up, the Spurs and the Nuggets. We're going to eliminate the Lakers from the playoffs. Spurs and the Nuggets. This is going to be something else of a series. This might go to 7 games, considering Wemby versus Jokic, the matchups of Christian Braun against Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, everyone that plays on the Spurs, everyone that plays on the Nuggets, this is going to be a close series. But I just have a weird gut feeling it's going to be the Wemby Spurs that take this series to 7 games, and they're going to win in San Antonio in Game 7. And we are now going to eliminate the Denver Nuggets from the NBA playoffs, getting out in the second round. Man, that's something that I thought I would never say, but I've said it. All right. The Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers. This one, I'm going to take the Pistons. I mean, the Cavs might sneak up and surprise the Pistons here, because the Pistons haven't been really good in the playoffs since 2005, 2004, when they had that whole team of Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace, that whole, return of the Pistons back when the Malice at the Palace days. That was 22 years ago. Man, a little bit before my own time, but from what I remember, that was a crazy night against the Pacers. Yeah, the Indiana Pacers. Reggie Miller. Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, if you want to call him Meta World Peace. Stephen Jackson, Reggie Jackson. Gosh, that Pacers team was something else. Jermaine O'Neal, if I remember correctly. Man, that was a little bit before Paul George was drafted. Yeah, that was like 7 years before Paul George was drafted. He was drafted in 2010. 2011. I think he was in the same draft class as Kawhi Leonard. If my memory serves me right. Yeah, or something like that. 2011, 2012. That was like 14 years ago, 15 years ago. Anyways. Whew, man. I'm going to take the bad boy Pistons. Yeah. Over the Cleveland Cavaliers, yep. Sorry, Cavs fans. No hard feelings, right? It's just, it's so hard to rebuild a team after LeBron leaves for the Lakers. You know, with all their successes and all that stuff, just players move on and they get traded, and that's just the business of the NBA. Same thing with the NFL. You know, players get traded all the time. I mean, as I look back on it, I mean, I would never would have thought AJ Brown would have got traded, but and then 2 years later, L'Jarius Sneed gets traded to the Titans, and then 2 years later, the Titans end up cutting L'Jarius Sneed. So that's how I think about these trades and, you know, free agency, etc. Same thing with college football. The transfer portal is basically free agency, unsanctioned free agency. And yeah, that's just the way it is, ain't it? Okay, Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson, Cat, Josh Hart. That's another former Laker, Josh Hart. You know, it just reminds me of that first year with LeBron, with Kyle Kuzma and Brandon Ingram. You know, you think about the Raptors, and gosh, went to the Pelicans in that Anthony Davis trade. Goodness gracious, that Anthony Davis trade was the first, like, wow. You know, because he was always on the Pelicans for 7 years. And then he gets traded in the summer of 2019, and you go, what the Woj? Because Adrian Wojnarowski is now Shams, or the Shams. Shams Charania. Shout out to him. Celtics and the Knicks. This is really splitting hairs here. I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics because they are fully healthy and fully loaded with Joe Mazzulla. And I'm going to eliminate the New York Knicks from the NBA playoffs, from the conference semifinals. And then there were 4. The 4 teams are the Oklahoma City Thunder, the San Antonio Spurs, the Detroit Pistons, and the Boston Celtics. I'm going to start off with Celtics Pistons series. This is going to be something else. Like, words can't even describe how big of a series this is for Boston, for Detroit. You know, just last year I was thinking to myself, if Jason Tatum gets injured, what does that mean for the Celtics? Well, I'll tell you what that means. It means that the Celtics, no matter what, are always going to be a really good franchise. Case in point. Like, I know they've done some interesting moves in the past. You know, they signed and traded for Kyrie Irving back in 2018. And then Gordon Hayward snapped his leg, which is really unfortunate. You know, Gordon Hayward used to play at Butler. For those of you that didn't know, Brad Stevens was the head coach of the Boston Celtics. Now he's like the director of player personnel, which, man, that's something. Anyways, the NBA Finals is going to include the Boston Celtics once again. I don't think that the Pistons can make this far of a run with Cade, Jalen Duran, and even the whole thing with Jaden Ivey. Man, he's just preaching. I hope he's okay. I hope Jaden Ivey is okay. Seriously, I hope someone can check in on him and hope that he's all right. You know, Boston Celtics are in the NBA Finals. And who they play in the NBA Finals is going to be none other than the San Antonio Spurs. Charles Barkley's not going to like this. I'm not going to like it, but I got the Spurs in 7 games. So the finals is going to be, for me, the Boston Celtics against the San Antonio Spurs. And I'm trying to fix the crop right now, but it's going to be the battle of the 2 seed because the 2 seed will beat the 1 seed, and that being in the Eastern Conference, the Detroit Pistons will lose to the Celtics in the conference finals, in the Eastern Conference Finals, in 6 games. Jason Tatum's going to hit a dagger 3, and then Jaylen Brown's going to lob it up to Tatum, and it's going to be nuts. Anyways, Spurs, Celtics. Dang. I'm going to take some time to think on this, and I'll get back to you guys whenever I have an official decision. This was not an easy pick, but I'm going to take the San Antonio Spurs to win the NBA Finals this year. And the reason why is because of their whole culture. And I think that the Spurs win the whole thing. I think they're going to beat the Celtics in 7 games. It's not going to be like last year's series where the Pacers almost beat the Thunder. It was really just neck and neck till Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. And, I got the Spurs winning the NBA championship, and we can now eliminate the Boston Celtics from the NBA playoffs, and the Spurs are champions once again. First time since, 2015, 2014, something like that. 2014, I want to say. Whenever they beat the Heat, after Ray Allen. Did they beat the Heat after the Ray Allen shot? Probably. I just can't even think. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. NFL draft is coming up soon. As soon as next Thursday. So stay tuned. There's going to be another mock draft. And that will be my last mock draft before the NFL draft. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys have a great day. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.